Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Tower podcast, this time with video because we finally found the Terran Grial that does that. Of course, I am Andrew, one of your hosts, and we will introduce everybody on the screen. But first, you can see that I am joined by my other co-host. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Greetings, salutations. It is I, your Tsorovan Mahale, Mr. Josh.
Salam and good evening to you. My name is Daniel, and I am your Aman Khan Mahale. I hold the flag straight in battles and make sure that it's visible.
And he's good at holding the flagpole.
The best part is when you wave it back and forth and start singing French songs. It's great.
So we are the Black Tower podcast, and this is the technically third YouTuber panel we've been able to put together. So super excited to get into this. But before we get too far in, just to make sure nobody can ever say they were ever spoiled, even by somebody's name, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and slap on some protection for us?
Indeed. So everyone, this is definitely a situation. The topic that we are talking about tonight is going to get into some late game stuff. This is going to be whole series spoilers. If you have not yet read the series, you might hear names of characters that you don't even know yet, let alone information on said characters that you have not been introduced to.
Like my intro?
But definitely, if you have not read all of the series, you are in danger of being spoiled. If you've read most of it and you don't really mind spoilers, definitely feel free to stick around. But if you are very, very much against spoilers, I highly recommend go finish the series. You'll be doing yourself a favor, both on spoilers and just because you'll have finished an amazing series. So have fun.
Accurate.
Now, so they don't have to remain quiet any longer. And so that we can finally introduce them, because I'm sure you've never heard of any of these people. It's
right.
Definitely not at all.
We have
sarcasm.
We
Josh,
have just the freshest of faces.
Right.
They've only been doing Wheel of Time stuff for a little bit of time. It's not like they have years of experience between them.
That's
Josh, who do we have with us?
We have three super awesome folks with us. Three people that three people that we've been wanting to work with for a long time now, and we're all super kind of fanboying here, but we're holding it together. So we got three folks with us.
Andrew's already worked with a couple of these people, and the other two of us have been very jealous.
Guys.
So we have from the Reading the Pattern, we have Rebecca, whom is an amazing person. Please introduce yourself, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here again, and especially now that Daniel and Josh are here too. Everybody's here. And so I am Rebecca. I have a YouTube channel, Reading the Pattern. I do a lot of really in-depth, super spoiler-filled reread videos for the series. So I'm in the Great Hunt now. And then I try to mix it up and do a lot of TV show content as well, and I try to do a lot of that spoiler-free, or at least spoiler-light. So I try to do a good mix of content, and I keep mixing it up because just trying to find what people are interested in.
Truth.
Because you gotta. It's just the way it has to be. Following Rebecca is Recappa, and if you guys have never seen an episode with Recappa Sedai, you need to correct yourself because they're some of the greatest things in the world. Recappa Sedai, please grace us with your intro.
I mean, thank you for that. Yes, I am Recappa Sedai. I do Wheel Talk on YouTube. It's a blast. We have a lot of fun. We play with Legos. We recap the Eye of the World. We have all kinds of fun. It's a blast. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me. Love your podcast.
Oh, thank you. That was very sweet of you. And we'll give you that $20 later. Thanks.
And good. We're WOT creators, We get it.
And last but certainly not least is our good friend from the Fantology podcast, Steven, whom I would like to just throw out, has a really awesome tournament / bracket on the greatest fantasy duos of all time that we fully intend to win. So just if you want to add that into your intro, that'd be great.
We did just make good strides on our effort to go ahead and win it. So
And you
I'm
guys
saying.
have won in the past. I
That
don't.
is
Which one
correct.
did you win? Like it was top series.
I think it was villains.
Fantasy villains, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got
Fantasy
villains.
yeah. And we
That makes
just
sense,
won
knowing
our
who you guys are.
poll today or yesterday on the duos. We won our bracket, though of
Yes.
course we have certainly not won the whole thing yet.
Yet.
Yes.
Wait, so who are any of the top fantasy villains, Wheel of Time villains? We should know.
I think Pot on
yes.
Fane was in our Wheel of
Okay.
Time games. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
put on. Fane was there.
Okay.
Yeah. We did it. We did it. We done good.
That's good. I respect. Yeah. He should be up there. Yeah.
All right, go,
And this-
Steven.
and-
Tell us
yeah,
all about
and
yourself.
clearly that was very scientific, and so whichever villains
Mm.
won are undisputably the top villains.
There
in
was
fantasy.
Professor Umbridge was on there too.
Oh,
Yes.
And
that's correct.
the White
That is
Witch
correct.
from Narnia.
Yes,
Yep.
that's right.
Yes, those are the top three. Yeah, so in addition to running Twitter polls every month, I do run a podcast with 4 of my old friends, Ben, Josh, Ryan, and Jake. And we're kind of into YouTube a little bit. We might be going into it a bit more as well and just kind of starting to get into the community. We are not primarily Wheel of Time podcasts, unfortunately. I know, a little bit of a black sheep here. But we cover, whatever fantasy books. So we've covered everything from Lord of the Rings. We have 5 episodes on Wheel of Time now. We're making our way through with the first time reader. We're doing a lot of Dresden right now. So a lot of fun series, and we're having fun doing it. So check out our podcast. And excited to be here with you guys. This is going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Wait,
Thank
Black
you.
Sheep, is that just another better name for Dark Friend?
Well,
We'll
it
see.
is now. Okay. Well, so those are our people. They're awesome. You're awesome. We're all awesome. And we're getting more awesomer as the evening progresses. Andrew, you
It's
want to
true.
tell the people why we're here in the first place, other than to stare into this thing and drink?
I thought that was it. I thought we were literally just going to be quiet and stare into the camera and drink.
All right, staring
Right.
contests. Everybody pair
as
off. Let's
fun
go.
as that would be, the people
First
might
drink.
lose interest after a
Yeah.
few minutes.
So what we're doing, you've seen this with the last one that will have aired by the time this goes out. As of the time of this recording, it hasn't, but it will be. This is a round robin-esque style panel that we probably will try to do pretty regularly. We're going to use the Southern interpretation of regularly to mean anything. So
Mostly if
do-
we're lucky enough to actually get
Accurate.
content creators enough to do enough of these.
yeah, what we do is we try to get at least 3 for these being YouTuber panels. We try to get 3 people that YouTube mainly or dabble in YouTube, but we will pull in people that don't really YouTube by any means. I'm more than happy to have just about anybody here, and collectively we'll choose a topic, something that is broad enough where we can all talk about it, but small enough where we can kind of maintain it in a reasonable podcast length episode, kind of that'll just be on video.
Main.
And then we'll take like 10 minutes to talk about each person, what they're bringing into the discussion, their view on the topic, their interpretation of it, whatever the topic may be, and then kind of go through in a bit of an order, let everybody say what they think about it. And if it's something that can be voted on or agreed or disagreed with, which is almost everything, the only time that doesn't happen is when we all kind of agree, like, yeah, we don't think we can vote on this one yet. We'll kind of vote and see if people agree or disagree. I don't know if we'll be able to do that as much with this one because
Duck
it's far
sauce
more.
really is terrible.
But so that's the kind of how the concept works. But
Sorry, you misspelled
You-
Gawain.
you, but now that you know the concept, you need to know what the topic is. And Daniel, I think you have that information.
I do, yes.
Yeah, what are
So
we
our
talking
topic-
about?
Our topic tonight, each of our lovely guests, as well as each of the members of the Black Tower podcast, have racked our brains to try and come up with what we consider either the best or worst, so the top 1 or the bottom 1 character arc in the entire series. So that is taking a particular character from beginning to end, whether that is the series end or their end if it ends up being earlier than the end of the series, and sort of classifying them in rankings of what we think are the maybe most compelling or most impressive, most relatable, whatever it is that you think is the most important thing for a character arc, whether they you know, that particular character was used in the best way, the worst way, or something, you know, as far as what you feel that particular character had going for them or not going for them.
Yep.
And then as the round robin, we will all get a chance to respond. So if somebody says that, you know, Padan Fane had the worst character arc in the entire series, everyone else will be like, you're full of shit. But we'll get a chance to go ahead and respond and say, you know, what we think a little bit in, you know, a little bit of a back and forth that we will have around. And then again, depending on the discussion, we may or may not vote as far as whether we agree or disagree with the initial assessment that they are the best or worst character arc.
I'm in.
So
I'm
with
all
that,
in.
everybody knows kind of what to expect and how this is going to go. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And Steven, my friend, you're up first.
Honored number one.
Okay,
No
so
pressure.
I was told I could mention my worst and my best. So briefly,
Correct.
I'm going to say that I would have said Gowan for worst, but that appears to be way too popular. So I'm not going to do that.
I'm sorry, you just used Gawain and popular in the same sentence, and so...
Probably in the only proper context, though.
It's true.
Yeah, I think Gowan should have gone. He should have gone back. He should have turned to the dark side. Would have been a much better story arc. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my best character arc, and this person is Swan Sanche, right?
Ooh.
So our favorite Amerlin, or not Amerlin. So Swan came from nothing, right? Very low beginnings, humble beginnings, as a fisher girl, right? Right, as we know. She became the youngest Amerlin ever. Fisher person, sure. And she became the youngest Amerlin. I think she was like 30 or something. Maybe fact check me on that. But she was initially intended to just be like a token Amerlin seat, and they were going to make use of her. I can see Daniel is fact checking my 30 right now.
You asked. I'm not going to let you down.
And she also had this fantastic subplot with Moraine looking for the Dragon Reborn after they heard the prophecy, very compelling. And then halfway through the series, or I mean more than halfway, a third of the way through the series, she gets deposed and has everything taken from her, including her access to Sidar, right? She can no longer channel. And rather than just die or lose, you know, all motivation to continue living, she uses her quest for vengeance to fuel her passion to get back, you know, to continue living. She is eventually healed from being stilled, and she uses her political game, which she never lost, in order to, you know, keep the Rebel Aes Sedai going. She eventually kind of gets back into a position of somewhat power, and then she has a great tragic love story with Gareth Bryn, right? One of my better love stories, I think, from the series. I didn't love all the romance from Wheel of Time. I'm sorry to say. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not, but this one was good, right? I mean, they had a good connection, and it was kind of this on and off thing, and then eventually they kind of die together after she bonds him, and after, you know, he feels her death, he goes insane and loses it. So that's my Swan character arc. She goes from bottom to top to bottom, and she's working her way back up when it finally ends.
From the bottom, now we're here.
Great arc, up and down. It's got everything you need in an arc.
Well,
right,
so by the
Daniel?
way, fact check. You could not be more correct. She was absolutely 30 when she became.
It's almost like I looked it up before coming on the podcast.
That was smart, because then when somebody else looked it up, you look like a very smart human being.
Well played. He did that on purpose. He's playing Dice Damar.
Right? There we go.
All right, but Daniel, you get first chomp at this.
Indeed. You know what? I definitely would not agree with best, certainly. I mean, it would be kind of a lame round robin if we all agreed on the best and worst, so that makes sense.
Speak the
But
words
at the
of
same
heart.
time, I definitely am with you on Swan having a pretty good arc. I would actually disagree a little. I thought the Gareth Bryn and Swan Sanche romance was actually a little forced. But at the same time, I didn't dislike it, even if I felt like it was a little forced. And so definitely still a good arc. And she learns a lot, which I really appreciate. She starts highly overbearing and kind of obnoxious, and definitely softens up and becomes a lot more reasonable of a person and a character. So she's definitely up there with me. I would not decry you one of the best character arcs. But I do disagree with a couple of things in your assessment of why. But I'm definitely in with you that is a serious honorable mention as far as best character arcs.
All right, Recappa, what do you think?
I love this so much. I love this so much. I haven't been able to talk about this. I mean, my thoughts of what best arc and series is aside, this Swan conversation is so fascinating to me because the truth is she goes through a huge arc because she gets stilled. And we don't see we're spoiler cool, right?
Yes, we're good.
Whole series.
Spoil the shit out of it.
Here's the thing with Swan. It's a fascinating arc because, like you said, you're right. Like it's incredible to see her gain what this meant, and it's a window into how much Sidar means to the women who can channel Sidar, and it really is amazing. And when we see the moment Nynaeve heals her, I just did this video, like it's incredible. And if we're talking about arcs, Swan has to be included in the conversation because we have this incredible experience of this woman who is so strong, who's like, you know what? I've been stilled. Nothing that happens can fix this. Nothing. And she's only going along with what the Aes Sedai have told her for thousands of years. And then it turns out not to be true. And it really is empowering because she was the Amerlin. And we get this idea of not only the Aes Sedai, but the Amerlin doesn't know everything. And it is an incredible arc. But do I think it's the best arc? That's complicated because what Nynaeve, I mean, like, if we're talking about the best arc, because Swan is a great character for this conversation, but the truth is, she goes up to Nynaeve and she says, hey, you healed me. I used to be a lot stronger, now I'm not. Can you heal me a little bit better? And that's what she does. That is what she does.
That is what she does. Something wrong.
It is what she does. And Swan is smart. Swan knows. She's like, if there are two people who can help me out, it's Nynaeve and Egwene. So she goes to those two characters. And to one, she's like, can you heal me better? And to the other, she's like, can you maybe be the Amerlin and I will teach you? And it is her thing of, it is an incredible arc. And and I mean, I am twisted on what the best arc is, but Swan, there's a good argument to be made because the truth is Swan's smart. And Swan knows the Aes Sedai, and Swan knows Nynaeve and Egwene. And everything she does throughout the series, she's planning it. And she knows that she's probably never going to be the Amerlin again. She's probably never going to be looked at as a normal Aes Sedai again. But she can latch on board to these two. And I respect her for it. Like, on one hand, I'm like, Swan, we've been reading these levels of how strong everyone is, and you're not very strong now. And, you know, we have to understand why you're still in the game. And it matters because Swan is the reason Egwene becomes the Amerlin she is. And so anyway, before this whole like thing, I was like, there's no way I'd be like, Swan is the best arc in the series. But now that I'm hearing it, I'm like, you know what? Swan is the one. Swan is the one who accepts who she is and what she can do. And she really does accept it. And
happens a lot on this show.
Yeah. And whatever you think of Egwene, whatever you think of Nynaeve, Swan grows in a way where she gets this thing taken away from her and then it's given back. And even if it's not given back fully, she knows how to use it to her advantage. And I'm kind of changing my answer. I'm sort of on board. Swan. Swan has the best arc. That was not my original answer.
All right,
I did not
all
come
right.
in here expecting to answer that.
That's why we're here.
But
Yeah.
I get it. Swan, honestly, Swan's the one who goes through the most and changes, and in the end is like, I get it. I didn't understand this before, now I do. And then, I mean, you know, we're spoilers, so I'm not going to go into that, but it's a little wasted.
We know
But-
what you're saying.
Yeah.
But Swan cares about the characters that we care about, and she cares about the abilities that we care about. And that's why I love Swan so much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No,
Rick
I
Happer
love what
rambling,
you
she
just-
does that. Just, ugh.
I love what you said
Epic.
about the, you know, she goes back to Nynaeve and says, hey, you know that thing that was impossible that you did?
Yeah.
Can you do it better?
Yeah.
Can you do it better this time?
But
Yeah.
it-
So
but it's
Andrew-
honestly like, it's really why we kind of love Swan, because through Egwene and Nynaeve, it's this thing of the Aes Sedai are like this. The Aes Sedai will never accept. The Aes Sedai think this way. And we get Swan come up to Nynaeve and be like, can you do this? Or to Egwene and be like, can you do this? Because it would change a lot. And
Yeah.
we get to see through Nynaeve and Egwene the change that is happening to the Aes Sedai during
Right.
the last battle.
Yeah.
And I think Swan is a great vessel for that. I think Swan, part of why I love the Wheel of Time is I love reading about how the Aes Sedai start to figure out, oh, this thing we were doing was wrong. And Swan gets it. So if we're talking about arcs, I'm changing my answer. I agree that the answer is Swan.
We're early
I agree.
on.
I agree.
And Recappa
She
has
goes through the
already
most.
changed
All right.
her story.
I'm
So,
killing it.
Andrew, can you add to this, or are we done?
What do you
well, I
got?
mean,
I think I won.
I definitely have stuff to say.
It's
So-
true.
For
I
me,
mean, in the game of character arcs, you either win or you die. So, I mean,
So Andrew,
so I'm going to try to keep
Tell us.
my
We're
remarks
gonna have to
relatively short because we are over time on this specific topic because we got a lot to get through. But for me, I tried to take it as little as I could, removing as much of my impressions and interpretations of the character away from looking at their arc overall. What happens to them? What do they go through? How does the character transform? Because there's plenty of things I can't stand about Suwon. There's plenty of things I love about Suwon. But her arc, for me, I almost want to say very stagnant and cliche. It's, you meet somebody that starts at the top, you watch them fall to the bottom, they come kind of the way back up, and then they die. Now, there's things that she does that are very important. There's things she does that are detrimental, that are not very helpful. And the secrecy that we see early on is a lot of the reason why we wind up with a White Tower that has Elida in charge. Now, necessary for the plot, agreed. Yeah, I think it is. But for her character arc, it's the same as a lot of people's. A lot of people have that, they either start from the bottom or they start from the top. If we go back to her origin story before the pages actually start, that where they rise up from nothing and then they fall and then they kind of start rising back up. And she does important things. She does good things. I think it's a good arc. I think that her entire arc was shot in the foot with a tactical nuke by the time that they decided to start putting her and Gareth Bryn together. Because I think that part of her arc is absolute trash, and I want to burn almost every page with it on it. Because I can't
hold
stand the
back.
relationship.
Tell us how you feel.
that's
yeah.
that's an
So-
escalation.
That's
So wait,
what
alright,
I'm
is
gonna
that-
say
I,
about this.
all right, back to
Rebecca, you're next.
Yeah, Rebecca,
Okay.
it's your turn. What are we doing?
Okay, so
What's
before
happening?
I talk about overall the arc for Swan, I'll just agree that I don't like the Swan and Gareth romance either.
Man,
Really,
everyone hates it. Everyone hates my take here.
really don't like it. Anyway, but that's not really the discussion. So that has no bearing on whether she has
But it's kind of the discussion.
well, kind of, yeah. But so what I will say about Swan, so one of the things I looked at when I was like trying to figure out, okay, I got to limit my characters that I'm going to consider for this because there's so many good ones. And I think, you know, all these arcs can be sort of cliche, right? You know, you start low, you end up high, you start high, you fall down, whatever. But it's all in the execution. Like a character to have a good arc has to undergo some major development and it has to feel justified and at the different steps. So I looked at like how many viewpoints the different characters had. I'm like being extra nerdy here. Okay. So I'm like, all right, I probably shouldn't really think about characters that have like 5 viewpoints in the whole series, right? So I like arbitrarily cut it off. If you had less than 20, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to consider this for this discussion. And Swan was one who like fell just below. And I was like, oh, should I go a little bit lower? Because Swan's arc is pretty good at 8, like she's like 18 viewpoints or something in the entire series. So I will say that's kind of impressive about her, right? That she does have like a real arc that is compelling with very few viewpoints. So if you compare that to like Rand that has like 200 and whatever, you know, that says something that she did have a pretty well written arc for 18 viewpoints in the whole series.
Nice. I like, you know, there's something to be said for a character that has a very potent presence. Their presence may be small, but it is very potent.
Dynamite
Which
comes
sounds
in small
weird
packages.
to say that.
It's so true.
As far as it goes when it comes to Swan Sanche, I think she does a number of things that are very, very important to the series, which nobody can deny. I mean, she was the Amerlin. She's the one who put Moraine in play to find the Dragon Reborn, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to specifically, what I think may be probably her 2 most badass moments. And they both address her adaptability. One is when she is stilled, which still gives me shivers. That's just a terrible thing.
It still gives you shivers?
When she gets stilled, most people are like, my life is over. I'm done. Not Swan Sanche. She's like, no. My anger and my hatred is going to be the fuel that runs this engine. And I refuse to die until I'm able to make sure that whatever happened to me was taken care of. Like, to me, that's an extremely badass action to take.
For sure.
I absolutely love that. And the second thing that Swan does is she is a teacher to Egwene on how to become a good Amerlin. Now, Egwene has her own perspectives and points of view that give her that allow her to stand on the shoulders of giants, if I can quote, you know, I think it was Hawking that said that. But Swan, one of the things that she learns late in the game is she goes, you know, how many times are people who can channel small amounts disregarded and ignored because, well, they're very low on the pecking order. We don't really care about them. But how many times do they manipulate and influence things without even being seen? And Swan learns this and embraces this. And what I get from Swan as a character as a whole is an extreme talent for adaptability, which Egwene also has. And Swan is able to amplify Egwene's abilities. So when I come down to it, does Swan have the greatest character arc in the series? I'm not going to say she's number 1, but I am going to say she's top 5 because Swan is a force to be reckoned with. She is a damn good character in this series.
Yep.
All right.
Nice.
Well,
With you.
Daniel, yours is next because I don't think that we can vote on the kind of board.
I
Like,
definitely
we
don't
all
think
agree.
they-
You
So
convert
it
it
sounds
one.
like everybody's kind of like
Come on.
voting, or at least like giving
I live for
their feelings on it in their responses,
Yeah.
which I think
Steven's
is
already converted one, and I will not allow more to be converted. Not here. Not with less than 13. But so
Okay,
we're gonna
Daniel.
let's go ahead with Daniel's and let's try to keep everybody's response to about 2 minutes because we're
So
kind
yeah,
of
I am
starting to run
actually,
short.
since we now understand what we're doing and whatnot, I am actually going to choose to cede my time and my thing to Recappa. If there is time at the end, I will be more than welcome to bring mine up. And this is not trying
Yes.
to cop out on anything.
No.
This is definitely not trying to like not give
No.
myself a chance to talk.
Steven picked yours, didn't he?
This is
we
you
all know.
understanding why I ripped my hair out of my own skull that I have things to say. That's all
But-
that is.
But yes,
Anyway,
I am,
while I do that, go on. But yes, I am with that.
sweet. So
100%.
I am
Why would it
definitely,
cut through?
if I need to go, or not if
Oh,
I need
no.
to, if there is time to
Recappa's
go
going
ahead
full
and
Britney.
do more at the end, fantastic. But I really want to hear from our guests more than us. So I will cede my time to Recappa to hear what you have as your best or worst character arc, because you know I have a podcast that I can go ahead and say mine on.
I think
later if I want
Recappa's
to.
best arc is going to be Nynaeve's braid.
I'm gonna say I don't know if you can tell right now that I'm struggling with my hair. I don't know if you can tell.
It's all good.
I have no idea.
It's beautiful hair.
Looks like to other people, but I braided my hair before coming on here, and now I'm listening. I'm just like, oh my god, I have things to say, and we're gonna see by the end of this how much hair I have. I truly don't know because I have thoughts.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
now is your time to go ahead and say your thoughts. We would
Is it
love
really?
to hear
Oh,
what your thoughts of best or worst character arc in the entire series
no!
is.
All right. Let's do it. No, but first,
Do it!
I got it. Oh my god!
We believe in you.
through
We
it.
believe in you.
I tore through it.
Do it.
No, these Emmons Fielders, they think they know what's up. And I have a braid. I know what's up. I can tug it when I want to. And I know what's up. So we are talking about characters' worst arcs or best arcs. Where are we? Best,
Either one,
worst arc?
whichever one.
Worst.
You
Whichever one you
choose
want.
whichever one. You can choose best
I'm
or
gonna
worst.
do it. Thank you. I am honored. I am honored in this conversation to say, if we are talking about arcs, we got to talk about Fael. And you know what? I'm Chafael. I am Chafael. And I don't care what people, I'm spilling on wine. I don't care. I don't care what people say. You know what? Here's the thing. We're talking about arcs, right? We are talking about, oh my God, my hair. We're talking about arcs. So here's the thing. With Fael, she starts out terrible. She really does. And I feel within the fandom, I'm sorry, I'm going to be tearing out my hair while I talk about this, but I feel within the fandom that there's this thing of you have to be Chafael or you have to hate Fael. It's one or the other. And my whole thing is that is missing the point of Fael. Because if we're talking about arcs, if you look at the beginning of the series, and I am speaking to all of the Fael fans out there because I'm a Fael fan. I am speaking to all of them. I'm speaking to them like Fael fans. I'm tearing my hair, but let's get together on this. Wait, it's okay. I tore through my hair. So no, my hair is still tearing. It's fine. So Chafael, everyone. Here's the thing. I love Fael. I do. Later in the series, the point is, when we are in the Shadow Rising and we are dealing with Fael for the first time, and we have to accept that this is Perrin's romantic interest, it's tough to be. And as someone who is Chafael, like it's tough when she shows up and then she's like, you know what, Loyal, you're gonna guide us through the ways because you're an Ogier and you can't say no. And And then we have to go through this scene in the ways where Fael's like, yeah, I'm mad at you. Like, no one cares. And but if we're talking about arcs, because I bring this up because if I look back at where I felt, at how my feelings were on a first time reading through, I couldn't stand Fael. I really couldn't. I was really like, you're in the goddamn ways. Grow up and maybe figure out whatever it is that's going on between you two so you can get through the ways and deal with the rest later. Because you're in the ways. It almost belittles the magnitude of being in the ways. Sorry, I'm putting in my headphones. But so I started out the books with everyone else. I was like, Fael sucks. Fael should not have married Perrin. We like Perrin. Why is Fael doing this? And then we get to the last 3 books, and Fael owns the fuck up. And Fael, who in book 4 we were like, oh, she's a hunter for the horn, you know, like what a joke. We already know the horn has been captured. We already know what the horn is. Fael actually becomes, I mean, it depends how you look at it, but she's the only hunter for the horn. And she nails it. And honestly, we're supposed to be cheering for Oliver at the end, but when we get to that last book, I'm cheering for Fael. I'm like, bitch, you were a child when this series started. You were a child. I couldn't stand you. And now you are an actual hunter for the horn. And we would lose all of this if not for you. Thank you, Robert Jordan. Thank you, Brandon Sanderson. Thank you, everyone who created this character who was a child and had this incredible arc of saving the last battle. It's so exciting to read. And whenever we're all like, oh, Oliver, my hair is such a mess. But whenever we're all like, oh my God, Oliver was like the guy that, you know, was supposed to be Matt. And we thought Matt would like ring the horn. It doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, Fael won the last battle. Fael was the one who was like, you know what? I'm going to get the Horn of Valir from A to B. Over whatever, you got lucky that you got that fame. But Fael is the one that we should be thanking. And all of us are like, Fael was such a bitch in The Shadow Rising. I'm like, you know what? That's an arc. That's what an arc is. This child of a character went into the ways telling Perrin, oh, you can't stay next to me because we're in the ways and I'm Fael and Loyal said he would help me. Like all this nonsense that we have to deal with. And then we get to a memory of light and Fael is like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to kill Massima. Well, she does that in Gathering Storm, but Fael is not having it. Fael is going to own up and Fael becomes the hero. Fael is the hunter for the horn. She is the hunter for the horn. And she's such a baby at the beginning and it thrills me. I'm sorry. I just went off. But
no, I think you're there. I think you're right there. You're what we want
my headphones
in
are
this
out.
segment. Andrew,
man,
how do you feel about what Recappa just did to us right now? Because
like I said in response to Suan, whenever I was thinking about this, I was trying to remove as much of my like or dislike of the character and just look at what the arc meant for the story overall, because I can't stand the character of Fael from first to last. I can't stand it. I grew up with too many people that acted like Fael acts through the entire books, and they all need a strong smack. That being said,
on the bottom.
That being said, that's not what I'm saying. But she does have a good arc.
Perrin,
She has a relatable arc. She has an arc that you can understand, because not because everybody goes through what she went through, or not because everybody acts like she does, but because you get to see somebody that has this type of mentality coming into it, very naive, very young, very much self-absorbed, very much childish. And she gets stuck in Wintergate / Faelgate and has to deal with all the crap of not being around her husband, which makes her, I think, finally appreciate that, hey, maybe I should meet his bearded golden eye ass halfway somewhere along the point. So she grows, but it's not a self-conscious choice to grow. She's forced to grow by the world around her. Like, I mean, a lot of people are. And the Fael we see by the end is a very much more mature Fael. I think it is a much better Fael than the Fael we initially meet. I still personally don't care for her. Doing a handful of good things doesn't offset being pretentious, stuck up, and childish in the beginning all the way through, and doing some of the shit that I have issues with people now because they did the same kind of shit to me. Like, oh no, you can't be next to me because so-and-so said they were only helping me. No, go fuck yourself.
You're right.
But I think it's a decent arc.
those
I don't
race
think it's the
chapters are
best,
fucked
but
up.
decent.
All right.
It's
all right.
personal for Andrew.
It is personal for Andrew.
But that's
Those
what we
race
want from
chapters-
characters. We want characters that have those things that strike a personal chord with us to make us resonate with them. So on a character
Rebecca-
level, yeah, that's what I
Well,
think. But
Andrew.
from his or from her arc, I think it's a decent arc. I think it's a relatable arc. I think it's an arc that you can follow and you can see as realistic as arcs go.
Rebecca, like,
Yeah.
how are you feeling about this? Like, Fael.
Yeah. So again, I think, you know, when you're talking about an arc, it doesn't matter if I like the character. It doesn't actually, I don't even think it matters how huge the character is in terms of like the overall importance in the story. I'm just like looking at how much does this character develop over the course of the series? And then like, is that development, like, does it feel like real and justified, or is it just like kind of pasted on there? So she does really develop. I think that Recappa is totally right that who Fael is at the beginning and who she is at the end, she does go on a real journey. And she's way more mature. She's way more self-aware and not like just totally stuck in her own like rigid, well, this is the way I was raised, so this is the way everything has to be. And she does step up. So I think she does have a real arc, and I think it's justified. And the thing that I liked about it is that I do think it kind of comes through the relationship with Perrin. They both evolve and grow through that relationship. We don't usually get to see that, like a relationship that starts off with like a lot of, they have issues, they have shit they have got to work out, right? And we don't always get to see that actually happen, like actually play out in a story. And so that's different, and I like that. I actually think theirs is one of the better romances in the series, in which is kind of weak overall. Like a lot of the
That's
romances
a
are
bold
kind of weak.
statement.
That is a bold
It's
statement.
a bold statement. I know.
It's not. It is,
See how it
it's
works
not.
out for her.
It is, but it's correct.
They have some serious problems. Like at the beginning, it's bad. Like there are parts of like their relationship that I hate at the beginning. But the point that makes it a stronger one in the context of the Wheel of Time, which has some pretty bad romances, is that we do see it actually get like explored and it evolves, as opposed to just like we're just throwing these people together and then they like never see each other.
I like that. I like that. When you talk
Well, since
about
you like it,
Fael's,
tell us what you think.
hey, you know, when it comes to Fael's character arc,
Oh wow, you got a whistle.
ooh, it's a big one. It's a big. She comes a long way, because I have to agree 100% with Recappa Sedai in that when we first meet Fael, we're like, oh my God, shut the hell up, for real now. We can't stand you. But toward the end, we're like, yeah, girl, get it. Finally, someone who knows that Massima needs to die. Like, thank you. But I agree with, and here's the fun part, because I agree with Andrew too. I don't like her at all. Like, ugh. I'm like, just stop. Like, please leave me alone. But when I look at a character arc, when I look at growth of the character over time, damn, she grows. Does she retain some of her more annoying personality traits from the earlier series? Sure, absolutely. But at some point in time, the growth of that character is there, and she's able to look and say, Perrin, you're a lord, and I'm going to teach you how you are a lord, and I'm going to help you as your companion, and we are going to work together because I know what you're good at, and I know what I'm good at. And I think that her interaction with him changes from, you know, from this is what you should do to, okay, this is what we're going to do together. And I think that's very important. So does she have a good arc? I think she has a great arc. I really do. Is she the best arc? I'm not sold on that, but I can say that I like Fail more after this conversation. So in part, Recappa, you have converted me.
I hear you so much with what you're saying. And the thing is, and I hope I'm not being cliche here, but
please be cliche.
Well, here's the thing with Fail. Everyone wants to pick a side. Everyone wants to be like, Fail is an asshole, or Fail is, I'm Cha Fail and I'm on board. It's one or the other. And the thing is, especially in the Wheel of Time, when, to be honest with all of you, anyone who's been watching Wheel Talk, I am not a big fan of the romantic relationships. I'm not a big fan. I do not give RJ the benefit of the doubt. Sorry, I don't do it. It doesn't, I mean, like, when you look at what brings Fael and Perrin together, if you're looking at literature and what normally does that, it's not there. And, you know, a lot of people, when I last said Fael is, you know, it's Fael has her up moments, people were like, oh, but Fael saves Emmons Field. I'm like, no. Emmons Field saves Emmons Field. Emmons Field is the reason Emmons Field survives that attack. Don't you go saying Fael is the only reason Emmons Field survived that. Don't you dare.
Amen.
Do not you dare.
Amen.
And at the same time, hey, it's great that Fael is on board and Fael's like, hey, I am at the forefront of this battle line. We are going to kill these Trollocs. I live for it. But I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, Bode Cawthon killed a Trolloc because Fael thought it was okay to do. Like, no. These Emmons Fielders killed them because they had to, and they did it. And they are blood of Manetherin. And so anyway, and so my whole thing is like, I live for the relationship between Perrin and Fael. I actually think when you look at the Wheel of Time, and we're going to get into this on Wheel Talk, but the truth is, I am so not a fan of these romantic relationships. I mean, there are very few of them in the series where I'm like, that's supposed to be there because of this plot point.
That sounds like the topic for our next conversation.
Very rarely happens. It doesn't happen.
Maybe
you know
the
what?
next collab will be on how terrible the relationships are.
And I would honestly though, but the thing about it is like, it didn't have to be like a better relationship. They could have just cut it out. Like, I would have been fine with Egwene being the Amerlin and just dealing with the last battle as the Amerlin. And then, oh, yeah, this is a really stupid thing that I have this warder who just fucked everything up and I won't pass his bond on. It's like, no, we don't have to deal with that. We don't have to. You could just be a smart person who's like, no, we're not doing that. Like, you don't have to go there.
It's true.
All right, Steven, what do you think about this?
How do you feel about Fael?
I know we're low on time, so I'll just
I'd like to encourage you to just be honest. Just lay it out. just give it to us.
Yeah, the first time I read the series, not a fan. Not a fan of Fael. I'm kind of with you guys for the most part. Thought she was mostly obnoxious, and yeah, and Perrin's cool, and you're like, what is this? It didn't really add up to me. But after hearing Recappa Sedai's explosion on this topic. I feel, maybe I need to give Fael a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt.
Give her some love.
I really love the analogy you made about her starting out as a pretend hunter for the Horn, and by the end, she literally is the hunter for the Horn. I think that really sums up her development. She goes from kind of faking her way through things through a series of events in her life over 15 books. She gets to the point where, well, she's not in, the first.
That's 10.
But no.
It feels like 15 fucking books.
So yeah, no, it's 15 books.
Winter's Heart actually counts for like 8 books by itself.
No, Crossroads of Twilight is the one that for me.
Sorry, you're
Crossroads.
Sorry. Go, Steven. Go. Steven, it's your time.
My hair.
But by the end, she is, she's become the person that she always was pretending to be. And so that is my spiel on Fael. Is she the best arc? Maybe no, but I think it is a really solid arc. She basically grows up. She just evolves from the lower version of herself to the adult version. She's a Pokemon, and by the end, she is a high level.
Dun, 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 dun.
I want to be the very
All right, Daniel.
Yeah,
Go,
so
Daniel.
I'm gonna
Finish
be
us out on
completely on the
fire.
other
Before
side.
doing that,
Before we
I
get
will
sidetracked.
break out into
I
song.
could be no more on the side
no.
of Fail has the worst arc ever.
Wait, no,
as I
no,
am
no,
right now.
Okay.
I appreciate everything
Then we
that
need
you
to end this.
said. I do.
No,
I appreciate
no,
everything
no,
that you said.
no,
But from
no,
day
no,
one
no,
in
no.
Kata Rising, when we meet Fail, she's the worst. She is
No,
the worst in
I'm
the whole thing.
sorry. I'm
She is
sorry. I
worse
have
than
this here. I'm
Gawain.
sorry.
She
That's
is
a
worse
nice
than
try.
Gawain.
That's a nice
Whoa!
try. Oh,
Worse
girl,
than
that's
Gawain.
a nice try. That is a nice try. I wish I could get behind you on that, but that is not gonna happen because I'm holding the Gathering story in my hand. Forward. What is the forward? Oh my god! I got to read the others, but no.
To be completely honest, I do think that she does grow. I absolutely do think that she is a different person from the time that she starts the books to the time that she enters the books to the time that she leaves. But at the same time, I don't think that she actually does enough changing. I definitely think that her change is by necessity, and only by necessity, not that she wants to rise to the occasion, not that she actually chooses to rise to the occasion, but that, again, as you kind of said, they lose the last battle if she doesn't do what she needs to do.
Oh, that's a very good point.
What she is doing is so much more out of, adrenaline and necessity and need than
like
her
no one else in
actually
this series.
deciding that she actually wants to become that person that they need her to be. It's definitely just it's Spider-Man throwing the gauntlet to the next person. It's not that Spider-Man is actually becoming such a better superhero. It's just that he's getting what he needs from point A to point B.
And there are a lot of characters who we would have
What
lost.
about Rand?
That actually, that applies to a lot.
Exactly.
Rand.
And it's also true that, again, without Fail getting the horn to where it needs to be, yes, we are all making the statement that we lose the last battle. And I think that that's not a bad statement, but it is not something that guarantees loss of the last battle. Take Matt out as general, and we absolutely lose the last battle. Take Rand out of Shale Goal, we absolutely lose the last battle. You can't even argue that those pieces are necessary. Fail, I can see an argument made against her part being necessary, even though I do think it's positive. Again, I don't think that it's not a good piece. But it's definitely not one of those there's no argument that can be made against it being one of the most necessary pieces. So again, it's definitely, I am so not Chafail, and I know that she is absolutely a polarizing character. She is, but it's definitely one of those things where the relationships in the Wheel of Time to me are realistic. And there are some that you like and some that you don't. And I have 3 older sisters, and there have been some of their boyfriends that I've really liked and some of their boyfriends that I've really not liked. And there have been their relationships that I've thought made sense and their relationships that I didn't think made sense. And so life is full of relationships that you do or do not think make sense. And I think that that is one of the things that I appreciate about Robert Jordan, is that to me, he writes realistic relationships. But at the same time, I think that Fael and Perrin makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And they're so bad for each other that I, again, while I believe it, it's certainly not like I don't understand where it comes from. And I don't appreciate why it's in the story. It's also a situation where I don't like Fael anymore because of it. And in fact, I actually like her less. And her story arc is lesser because it's a realistic bad relationship.
I feel like right now, I want to be like Eric Andre, and I'll be like, how could you say something so bold,
controversial,
so
yet
controversial, and yes, so brave?
I mean,
again, I appreciate till the cows come home that there are other people who think different things than me, and I am in no way trying to belittle anyone's opinion of Fail or her character arc. I
So-
just don't share it.
So I think Fail, I think there's enough controversy here that there should be a vote. Like, has your
Oof.
opinion of Fail been changed with the particular filter of her character arc? Does she have a good character arc? You can hate her all you want. You can love her all you want. Does she have a good character arc? From point A to point B, is she a good character in the Wheel of Time? And I'm going to start right now by saying, God, I'm kind of converted. Thank you, Recappa.
I mean, look, we're gonna get into this.
Oh,
We're gonna get into this.
Oh, it's
my
2-2.
hair. I haven't decided which way my
Steven.
hair's gonna lay.
Steven,
Steven, you
where
are the
you at?
deciding
You are the
vote
deciding
here.
vote.
I think I'm slightly yes. It's like
There you
it's just,
go.
like, barely over.
Recappa's
It's gonna
already
be a
going
yes.
full Britney, so you helped her
Oh no,
tonight.
we're not there yet. We will get there.
We're
By a
getting
margin
there.
of 51%.
Yeah.
Panel
Right.
decides if
exactly
Fail
No,
is
but
a
I
good
think it
character.
is. I think it is time to move on from Fail.
Next in
Why?
the list
Oh, okay.
is
Yeah.
Mr. Andrew. Hey,
Uh,
Mr. Andrew, did you prepare a character arc? That
Did you
I
prepare the
did.
Black Tower's
However,
opinion?
I did, but however, like my fellow panelists from the Black Tower, I am going to cede my time to the panelists from reading the pattern.
All right,
and let
Rebecca.
Rebecca go.
Okay.
All right,
I think
Rebecca,
we
want
might
you to
end
go.
up having time for at least one person in the Black Tower to give an opinion, but I like that Rebecca's getting to go next.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I mean, I might actually just to talk about something just because we're talking controversial opinions tonight. I mean, like literally everything we've said is controversial. I've already went out there on a limb and said that Perrin and Fail is one of the better relationships in the Wheel of Time.
You did.
But
It's true.
so
And
I
you
will
have
very
a friend.
briefly say-
You absolutely have a friend.
I will very briefly say that it's kind of hard to argue that like Rand isn't the best character arc in the series. Like I don't even want to talk about it that much because I just think it's like he goes on a huge journey, like huge ups and downs. He does incredibly insane things, and yet like we're on the journey with him and whatever. But that seems kind of obvious to me. The controversial thing I wanted to say is that I don't think Gawain is anywhere near the worst character arc. And that's not to say anything about him as a character, because he's easily the most annoying character. Easily.
Yes.
But his arc, it's not
Or
great,
Kai
but
saying
it's
his
definitely
smears
not the
there,
worst.
Recappa, just
No, I know.
Sorry,
Mike, he's
anyway.
saying, should I get the Sharpie? I can get the Sharpie. Keep talking.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Rebecca.
All right. So why is Gawain not the worst arc, even though he might be the worst? But his arc is not that bad. His arc is kind of interesting, and it's one of the like maybe the only ones in the series that's on like a downward arc, right? Like he starts off much better, and then where he ends up is like he's like spirals downward basically. So he kind of stands out to me in the whole overall narrative for the direction that he goes as a character is different, and that's interesting. Where it's a little bit weak is just that some of the things that he does are not always, they don't always seem justified. So like I don't know why he stays with Elida for that long. Like, I don't know what he's doing. And I don't entirely feel like it's justified that he hates Rand as much as he does, even though people he supposedly trusts, like, tell him things that he should listen to. So there's parts of his arc that we just don't get enough there to, like, make it make sense. But, like, the overall trajectory of it, I do think is interesting. And I do hope that like the show kind of keeps it broad strokes, a lot of the same things there, but that we fill in some of those things that don't make sense and make it work and make it more of like a tragic arc. And that he's like on sort of like an opposite arc of Rand, maybe. It's like it's an opposing direction to go in. And if it was justified, if you understood why he did what he did at all those steps, even though you want to smack him in the face, it would still be entertaining and interesting. So that's my argument for why he is definitely not the worst arc. He's not the best, like not the best arc. I'm not trying to say that. But he's far from the worst because there are other major characters that I like love and enjoy a lot more, but that don't develop over the course of the series nearly as much as he does. So like just to take one example, like I love Min as a character. She's one of my absolute favorites. I enjoy reading her. She is funny. She is awesome. She doesn't have that much of an arc. She doesn't change that much. She is who
Call
she
her a
is.
lamp. Call her a lamp.
No,
Don't
she's
do
not
it.
a lamp.
You will
trigger
make
Andrew. Don't do
Andrew's
it.
He is
head
not a lamp.
explode.
No,
not a lamp,
wait. I just
okay?
want to say she might be a lamp.
No, I didn't. She's not a lamp. I totally disagree.
We'll get some water, but I'll be back.
I will defend Min because
I don't
role
want to
that she
disappoint you, but she might
plays-
be a lamp.
the role that she plays is so essential. She's like the Samwise, like Gamgee of
Yes.
Wheel of Time.
Yes.
He's
If we're
so
gonna
good.
pretend, okay.
Everything
If
would
we're
go
gonna
to
pretend,
total shit
if we're gonna
without Min.
pretend Min is
Andrew's
essential, I'm gonna get upset.
Min is essential.
Because
She is
Min,
essential.
We're not pretending.
I wanted
We're
Min to be
stating-
essential, and she was
We're stating
not
facts.
essential.
We're stating
Rand
facts.
would
It was almost
done
made
without
fun
her.
of.
totally done without her. He needed
Rand
her,
would have
and
been
she
dead
did
in
what
book
she needed
5
to do.
if he hadn't.
Everything Rand learned from Min, we got from Rand in a subpar, self-internalized monologue. We never even got to see Min discover what she discovered.
No, it's not
And
about what she
that
discovered.
devastated me because you're going to set up Min from book 1 to be this character who can save us. And supposedly I'm supposed to get excited about the fact that she figured this thing out with Kalendor. And it's like, no, but we didn't even get to see her figure it out. Rand is the one who's like, oh, Min figured it out for me. Now I'm going to do it. And it's like, fuck you, Rand. No, how about you give like someone else the chance? I'm sorry. I get so mad because Min, it should have been Min. It should have been Min.
Okay,
So what
so
we
we're
know
just
from
gonna
this-
take a second here because the answer
Nobody
to that
say
is
the M
very
word.
much appreciated, but at the same time, Min can't channel through Kalendor, therefore she
Where am I
can't
headphones?
do it.
I thought we were talking about
We
Gawain.
give her
Yeah,
credit.
anyway.
I was about
Gawain.
to say, wait a
Gawain.
minute, Rebecca,
Gawain.
is your arc
Josh,
about Gawain
Josh, Gawain.
or the M
That's
word?
what we're doing.
Gawain! Did you say all you wanted to say, Rebecca?
I said everything I wanted to say about Gawain. I could
Okay.
say more about Min, but I won't.
We can.
Thank you.
No, you know
We
what?
appreciate
We'll
His arc
have
is
another-
tragic from the time Elaine says, "This is my brother Gawain."
It's Elaine.
We'll have
No,
another
because here's the
panel
thing.
where we can talk for 10 hours about Min.
Yeah.
Because I think Min is one of the most controversial subjects in the
She
wheel.
is
I
apparently.
agree. She is.
He
I will
deserves
defend her.
better.
I will defend her, even though her
I-
arc is weak. Her
Okay,
arc
so
is weak.
Rebecca
I will
and
defend her.
Recappa,
Ooh.
you two need to collaborate.
Ooh.
Where you do like
Rebecca,
a
I
debate.
tried
Debate.
to get excited about Min. And then we got 421 and all that bullshit. And I was like, all right, so that's
So-
what yours is going towards.
So, Josh, what do you
If-
think about Gawain's character arc?
If Gawain's
But I live
character
for
arc
it.
is coming into
Nothing.
play,
Oh, it is.
I have to.
It's not coming into play. It came into play.
It is in
Did
play.
it really though?
It whoa.
No, but it did though. I was there.
If we're discussing Gawain, which I believe we are, either that or I've drank too much.
I mean, it might be
Gawain's
both.
character arc. Now, I expressed my opinion on this in the last panel we did, titled "Unpopular Opinions of the Wheel of Time," and my opinion of Gawain is that he and Elaine are the same character, and I hold to that. They are both extremely privileged youths who have an extremely narrow set view of the world because it's the world that they were introduced to. I am royalty, ergo people listen to me because I am royalty. We see this when Gawain storms Gareth Bryn's camp to go talk to Gareth Bryn in, I believe it's the Gathering Storm. But I'd like to say this for Gawain. As far as the character, he is true to his character. From point A, when we're introduced to Gawain, to point Z, when the story ends, Gawain acts like Gawain. Gawain does Gawain things. He never does anything that anybody goes, oh, that's out of character.
So doesn't that mean he has a terrible arc?
He has a terrible arc. I'm sorry. That's where I was building up to. So yeah, he's Gawain.
Also, just FYI for reference, in that particular panel, he was outvoted, saying that
I was outvoted.
And Elaine
Everybody
and
loves
Gawain were
Elaine,
the same
apparently.
character.
Everyone loves Elaine.
I think we
Apparently.
actually did come down to the fact that Gawain's not as bad as he is made to be.
He is, though.
Wait,
However,
why is that? No.
I
Was
love
outvoted
Gawain,
that Elaine and Gawain
but
are
he's a
the
big dumb
this
idiot.
makes sense.
Steven,
Yeah,
tell me why
thank
I'm
you.
right. Tell me why
No,
I'm
you're
right,
not.
Steven.
You're not. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Thank you,
We're
Steven.
just
No.
we're
No.
not.
No.
No,
We're
I'm
not going to
go
get
ahead
into this.
All right,
no,
all right.
we're going to have a real
Steven.
conversation about this.
Steven, hit it.
just
So
cutting that.
I was
Why
ready
is
to
my
say,
hair-
I was ready to go with Gawain was my worst arc. Actually, I pulled back at the last minute. Maybe I don't think he's quite the worst anymore, but I just think that he should have been bad. His arc would have been better if he had gone full on to the dark and he became some kind of like
Darth Gawain.
minion forsaken or something. But he kind of did, and he kind of had this redemption arc where he was like, I hate Rand, and then by the end he's like, okay, I understand what's going on a little bit, and then he sacrifices
I
himself.
don't even know
foolishly.
who you are.
But the problem is, it's not really a redemption arc because you never really do anything like all that bad. And I think it just would have been cooler if he had gone full on evil, and then by the end he came back around in some way. And I don't think there's enough of that in Wheel of Time. Like, there's not enough good characters going to the bad side and bad characters going to the good side. That's just one thing I wish there was more of in the Wheel of Time.
Point.
Yeah.
That's a good
Like,
The
in
major ones that we get are Asmodean and Mazrim. Those are the two.
Not
that we
even.
get.
But they're all bad guys that are still just
There,
because
I was
they
going
are
to say,
bad
like, not
guys
even. You can't count those. You
doesn't
can't
mean
count
they are
them.
bad guys.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can. Just because you disagree doesn't mean that I don't have the ability.
No, Steve, I
You're going
think
to say Mazrim Tame is a
brought
good
up
guy. You're going to get
probably the most
screwed.
potent point of the evening. There are no character arcs that go from good to
There
bad
are very
or
few.
bad to good.
Yes, there are very few. Good, bad, bad, good.
It's not
bad.
George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin is not writing the Wheel of Time.
Thank
Oh,
God.
Thank
Yeah.
thanks, Steve. Thanks,
Thank the creator.
Thanks,
All
Steve.
right, cool. So
Thank Bella.
We say that now.
I think that's yeah. So I actually agree with you on this one. I actually don't think that Gawain's that bad. I jump into the Gawain is super fun to make fun of. Gawain is super fun to throw under the bus.
For sure.
100%.
last.
When people go ahead and bring up Gawain,
Duck
I'm always
sauce.
like, yeah, no, 100%. Gawain's trash. Because it's fun to say, and when it comes right down to it, Gawain is not a good character. So it's easy to jump on that. But at the same time, I definitely would not say that Gawain is the worst character arc. Because, again, I feel like two things are true. Number one, his character arc is believable. I believe
That's a good
Gawain's character arc. The fact that he actually has a really hard time going ahead and getting out of his stubborn princely nature, the fact that he has a really hard time going ahead and sloughing off this first impression of Rand that he has, especially when he immediately love at first sights in some ways Egwene, who he seems to think is like Rand's girl. The fact that he doesn't ask enough questions and the fact that he doesn't communicate to enough people is stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No one in the Wheel of Time communicates. Come
But
on,
he's
you wouldn't have a
it's not even that he
story.
doesn't
Exactly.
communicate.
Exactly, but that is like Hallmark
He
Wheel of
doesn't
Time.
believe
And
anyone.
it's so
Yeah.
Hallmark Gawain. Because he just thinks that what his first impression is the right one. And he has
But that-
such a hard time getting out of those. And so
Right.
I think that again, when we're talking about character arcs, I might actually argue that Gawain has one of the worst ones because he doesn't grow very well and he doesn't grow very significantly. But at the same time, I think that one of the things that we need to talk about in character arcs is, does that make sense? does their character arc make sense that they don't grow? That they actually are
think
the
that's a
same
great
person
point.
between beginning to end. And Gawain, to me, I would almost be more angry with him having this amazing redemption arc and almost having this whatever, because he was never gonna turn evil. I don't actually believe Gawain as an evil character. I don't believe Gawain as this like amazingly heroic redemptive character. I believe him as a minor princeling who has never actually achieved anything in his life because he has a sister who is set to do everything for him and a brother who's better at everything he's trying to do. And so the fact that he ends up just being a middling character from beginning to end makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah, poor
Are we
guy.
supposed to
But
feel
again,
sorry for him?
No.
Are
You
we
can
supposed
feel
to feel
however
sorry
you
for him?
want.
This little,
You can
this
feel
little
however
boy
you
bitch
want about Gawain.
who
I was about to
everyone
say,
comes up, everyone
think
says to him, everyone's like, you are married to the Amerlin, you are now bounded to the Amerlin. Everything you do, you are responsible for her. And he doesn't give a flying fuck. He doesn't care. And we're supposed to feel sorry for this little bitch of a boy who couldn't accept that even though his mother was still alive, oh, Rand still killed her. Oh, I'm still going to cling to this. I can't. I'm sorry.
Wait,
My
but no one
headphones
feels
go out. I
sorry
don't
for
know
him.
what I'm
Who
saying
feels
right
sorry for him?
I think we're
Nobody
we're
feels
more
sorry for
pitying.
now.
Isn't it more of a pity thing almost?
He just
Yeah, I
makes me
think
mad.
I would say
I
pity
would
is a
say
better
it's more
word.
pity.
Anyone.
Recappa.
It's not that I actually necessarily feel sorry for him, but I understand him. There is a difference there.
I think
I am
that
empathetic,
you're
even if I
empathetic.
don't agree with any of his choices.
So Recappa's so passionate about this, she lost her earbud and she's cutting her hair.
Gradually losing the braid.
Brad, I was about to say,
I'm
we're in a decline. Are we
my hair.
sure Saidar
No.
was not fainted? I'm just asking. For
Are we-
asking for
no,
a friend.
Okay. I
Recappa,
just want to
tell
say,
us about Gawain.
No one remembers this. No one remembers this, so I'm gonna say it. No one else remembers this. Everyone else is like, oh, Gawain, but Gawain's not that bad. I am gonna remind everyone, spoiler free. Sylviana tells Egwene, pass me his bond. She says it. She says to Egwene, pass me the boy's bond. You know it's the right thing to do. He is about to die. If you are the Amerlin and you die, that is not going to be a good thing for the last battle. I'm sorry, my hair is tangled. But Sylviana says to him, I'm gonna give up my hair. Sylviana says to Egwene, give me his goddamn bond. And Egwene's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. He's my husband. And it's like, you know what? I love Egwene. I respect Egwene, but I am not on board. Thank you, Sylviana, for speaking your truth. I mean, why doesn't Egwene just pass on the bond to Sylviana? Because honestly, Gawain did something stupid without asking for anyone's permission. And Sylviana is the only one in the room who is saying, hey, you know what? This crazy thing happened. We didn't plan for it. I will take on responsibility. I will fucking take on everything that happens when your warder dies. Pass his bond to me. And Egwene says, no, I love him. And I love Egwene. But I am sorry. No. And anyone who supports Gawain, I'm like, look, it's a plot thing. It's not a character thing. It's a plot thing. This is someone we were supposed to be able to trust. This is a trick hand. This is someone who from the beginning of the series, we were supposed to get excited about. We were supposed to believe, oh, wow, this boy has superior abilities. And then he runs up to Demandred because he's too much of a little bitch to accept the fact that he might not be the one to kill the Forsaken. And then he gets his ass killed. Sorry, Gawain, that's what happens when you're a dumbass.
Knowing that he's bonded to Egwene and the consequences of that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does it anyway.
Gawain.
Does it
Gawain.
anyway. Doesn't care. Doesn't care.
So, okay, as far as Gawain's character arc, if you think it's a good arc, give us a thumbs up. If you think it's a
I don't get
bad
to say
arc,
my opinion on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
oh wait, oh I'm
Josh.
sorry. Am I
Jeez,
skipping you,
Josh.
Andrew?
Rude.
Andrew, I have Andrew.
The
Andrew,
reason I said I was
Andrew.
happy I get to go last.
Andrew, Andrew. I love you,
Yeah,
and I respect you as a person and as a
And
member
far more than
of
Gawain.
this.
apparently.
And
well, that's not
much
really
more
saying
than I
that.
respect
Josh
Gawain.
thinks that Gawain is
I
trash.
love you
Well.
as family. I give you an Ashtaman salute, and I ask you, please,
What do you think?
close the debate on
Oh.
Gawain.
As far as arcs go, you know, when you think arc, you think like the St. Louis arc, you think the arcs are like roller coasters. Gawain has as much arc as the bumper car ride at a carnival.
Oh,
He has as much character development as you get graduating from 4th grade going to 5th grade. He is the exact
It's not
same.
a graduation. It's a promotion. He's going from the first
Oh,
grade
yeah,
to
well.
the 2nd grade. It's
Yeah.
insanity. This
He-
is not about you.
He is the same tag along, follow along, sad toddler tantrum giving character and when we first meet him as he is when we last see him. I can't do what I want, so I'm going to throw a tantrum to get what I think I want because I know best for me and I don't. There's only 3 good things. I said this last panel. So Daniel, y'all know there's only 3 good things
Oh, I know exactly what
that
these things
Gawain
are, too.
does.
We
Ring
know where we're
1,
going.
ring 2,
Wait,
ring
oh my
3,
God.
die. Worst character I have ever read, ever been exposed to. Written well for the character that he's supposed to be so bad as. But just such a shite character and character arc. I can't even call it a character arc. It's like a flat road that goes nowhere. He went off into the west and died behind Lewis and Clark.
oh shit!
Don't you think
Jesus.
he's significantly worse at the end than he was at the beginning? Because that's what I'm
yeah.
arguing.
Oh, wait a minute.
He
Well,
goes down.
Wait,
Worse.
Rebecca.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
you
not,
saying-
is that
that's
not an
important.
arc?
Are you saying his
Important.
character arc is going from here?
No,
to
because arc
here?
implies that
Yes,
there was
this is
ever.
right.
That
Oh,
was
you're
always
so
her
right,
argument.
Rebecca.
Josh, did you not
You're
get
so
that?
right. Rebecca brings up a great point because when Elaine
Yeah.
takes him out on the boat and she's like, "Oh my God, Gawain, you shouldn't be thinking like this. You have a real issue with the way you think." Gawain's like, "No, I'm a Trakan, whatever, nothing matters." And Elaine, who I'm not an Elaine fan, but Elaine is the one who's like, "No, you are not thinking straight," and he doesn't
You're a
listen.
piece of shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
he doesn't.
So if
So,
he
my
does drop
argument-
off at the
Oh
end.
my god.
My argument
Okay,
is just
first
that
off, apologies to Rebecca because I
arc-
completely misunderstood what you
yeah,
were
so
saying.
an arc doesn't have to be like this character
From
makes
here to
progress. They
here.
get better.
It could be from here to here, and
Yeah.
Exactly.
in
and he's one
that
of the few
sense, I'm
characters that has
100%
an arc
on
like that.
board. Like, oh my god.
I don't think it's
He-
that much different than
Hashtag game
we see him at the
changer.
beginning. It's
It could
whenever
be better.
it's
It could
when
be
you're in
better.
like middle school and you fall in love with this girl or this guy or whoever you fall in love with, and I'd do anything for you. Let me write you a letter that says that I would jump in front of bullets for you. I'd put on blood knife rings for you. I'd sacrifice my life.
I would
for
put
you."
on all the blood
And
knives.
he's naive enough, childish enough, and never grew up or down enough to be selfish enough or to be logical enough to see that everything he's doing is still the same fucking shit he would have done at the beginning of the book in the exact same scenario with the exact same motivators. If he was already in love with Egwene at the start of the book, he probably would have put on the blood knife rings, I don't know, first chance he got, hopefully book 3, and we wouldn't have to deal with him ever again.
You know what?
Egwene, but-
I gotta say, when it comes to now, it's time to take the vote, right? And I gotta say, God, as far as character arcs go, when we put the added filter on from the here to here, and we talk about a decline
Yes.
with a character arc, I gotta say,
oh, yeah.
God, Gawain guts it for me, man. Like he is definitely worse at the end than he was in the beginning.
Yeah,
so,
that's
It's a
what I'm
small
saying.
decline,
here you
but
go,
yeah.
not
Rebecca.
a-
Okay,
And
thumbs up.
Tragic decline arc. It could be better, but it's there, and
No,
it's not.
and that's
that.
where I'm with you. I actually think that Gawain is an incredibly tragic character.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so he has an arc. It's not an arc that anybody likes.
No.
It's
But
not
is
an
the
arc
arc
that
of
anybody
tragedy enough for you to
wants.
give it a thumbs up?
But who the
He has a
fuck
story,
watches
but no change.
Hamlet and likes the character of Hamlet? It's a tragedy.
No, Hamlet
and there's a reason.
Actually,
so
quite
thumbs
enjoy
up or
Hamlet.
thumbs down?
Trash. Hamlet, the
Gawain
character,
have
is so bad.
A good
But, like, again,
character
you
arc
watch it
or no? Yes
because
or no?
It's a tragic character arc. I am absolutely giving it a thumbs up. I think that it is a good arc
Yeah.
for a bad character.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll give you a thumbs up.
Recappa, Steven, what do you think?
I'm
Thumbs
sorry,
up,
I'm
thumbs
I need
down?
to
I'm still a
understand.
no-
I
I'm
need
still
to
a no,
understand
guys.
when I'm giving a thumbs up to. I need to understand.
This one's
I
confusing.
understand. I understand the
This one is
argument.
confusing.
Are you?
Hey, all right, let's let Steven
If you're
talk.
asking me to give a thumbs up to something frustrating that engages me in the series, I will give you a thumbs up.
Yes.
It frustrates me, and
Yes.
I want to say that I hear what Rebecca's saying. Like it's an arc. It's an arc, and that's it's not supposed to start out. My thing with Gowan, and we started talking about Fael. My thing with Gowan is I'm sorry, I'm still dealing with my hair. I don't feel like Gowan changes that much, but I also understand. I understand that he is doing everything he can to be in charge, right? Like he wants to do good, but I think it's not just Gowan, it's the combination of Gowan and Galad that makes me like, I can't get over this. I cannot accept the fact that you two thought you would just go forth and do this thing without anyone else's, you know what I mean? I don't know. But if they had succeeded, I would feel differently. But with Gowan and Galad, I'm like, girl, if you were that good, fine. If you're that good, if you're good enough to do it, go kill him. But you're not.
Galad had nothing to lose. He could do that if he wants, whatever. But Gowan,
but Galad
was terrible.
Galad had a lot to, I think, for me, Galad had a lot to prove. Because I was like, if I'm supposed to care about you, I mean, literally the moment Galad charged for Demandred, I was like, oh my god, this is why Demandred is in the series. This is why Galad is in the series. This is why we have had to deal with this awful, stupid character for all this time, because Galad is going to kill Demandred. And then Demandred stabs the shit out of Galad, and I was like, no, I guess not.
I was actually kind of, okay. You know what?
Steven,
so-
you had thoughts.
Steven,
Yeah,
give us your
so-
thoughts.
I don't think it's an arc. I think it's a line. I think it's a line from one point to another point, and it goes down. And so I get the argument now.
No, he's not drawing it like this. He's drawing it like that. There is no
Right.
arc.
It's
Okay,
here.
fair.
It's a very, very tragic,
here.
No,
boring,
you're right,
annoying.
you're right.
Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
tragic, but
I
it's
see
not
what you're saying.
It's not
I'm
tragic
Gowan
enough.
in Andor, and I met this farm boy, and oh, hi, I'm Gowan, the dumbass who puts on all the blood knife rings.
Yeah, it's that exactly.
Yeah, even though I know for a fact that it's
So-
going to kill my wife.
I could see that as an arc. I see it more of a line. I wish it was more tragic. Is my thing. So I'm a
agree.
thumbs down, but I do get the argument more now.
I agree it should be more tragic, and I hope the show does a little bit more with it, because it's not as good as it should be, but there's some good elements there.
Honestly,
It's an arc. It's a character.
when it comes to the filter of the show, I cannot express enough my belief in Rafe Judkins and the rest of the cast of this series that they've announced so far. Even tertiary characters like Peter Franson as unnamed warder, I love him. Okay,
That'd be amazing.
I love him, and I can't wait for the show. I think they're going to do an amazing job.
We are all
Which
very
comes
excited.
to me.
But we are actually
My
out
turn.
of time. So I think that the Black Tower is
Okay.
actually going to need
No,
to
we're
talk
done.
about
I was the last one in
something
the list.
else.
What?
No,
Am I the
Josh
last
is
one?
the last one on the list.
I'm
He's the last one on the physical list, but in regards to the
exactly.
Gawain topic, we started with
Yeah, we're
Rebecca,
done.
which
We're
wrapping
done with
around
Gawain.
would end with me.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah,
Awesome. But
didn't you
before
get to
we
say?
actually
Did you
go,
get to
since
say,
we
Andrew?
do actually need
Yeah, I
to
did.
go here,
But we're kind of
Okay.
out of time.
we are going to say goodbye to our lovely panelists who have been absolutely amazing. So thank you very, very, very much
for fantastic.
joining
you
us, guys.
are so awesome. Thank you so much. You guys are the best.
We did
have
give
absolutely
you a chance
loved
at the
having you.
beginning to introduce yourselves and whatnot, but we also definitely want to give you a chance here at the end to tell the people where they can find you, because just knowing who you are is good, but going ahead and being able to gain access to your videos and things like that is also super important. So Steve, you want to tell us, sorry, Steven, you want to tell the
Stephen.
lovely people at home where they can find
Not to
Fantology
be
and your
confused
lovely
with
face?
Steve.
I know, for the purposes of Wheel of Time content, you can call me Steve. That works out just perfect.
I hated that joke so much. So you're Steven forever.
You love it, and you don't deny it anymore, Daniel.
Where
Yeah.
can people find Fantology?
Yeah, so thanks, Black Tower, for being honorable enough to sacrifice your turns of going and getting us to appreciate having me on. And if you want to check out Fantology, you can find us on social media at Fantology Books, online at www.fantologybooks.com. Just search for Fantology on podcast, you'll find us there. And we'll probably be moving more into YouTube soon, but primarily a podcast for now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, I'd
Sweet.
like to say that Fantology is like a pretty dope name for a podcast. Like, well done,
is.
sir.
Thanks,
It's
man.
true.
Yeah, no, I came up with that. That was all me. So
Nice.
Praise be Steve. Hashtag
Oh,
praise
God.
be Steve.
All right,
Doing a
somebody
shot
mute,
for Steve
somebody
right now.
Mute Josh. All right, cool, awesome. And Recappa Sedai, thank you for
Oh,
your
hey.
energy. It has been super
Yeah.
fun. I am sorry about your hair, but where can the people find you so that we can find wonderful videos of you doing Recappa Sedai things?
Oh, well, just so I can tell you, I'm sorry about my hair too, because God, this is not usually how my videos go. But Wheel Talk is my YouTube channel. We have a ton of fun. Subscribe to Wheel Talk. We had so much fun. I had so much fun here. Thank you for having me. And Rebecca, I hear you on everything. We have to talk more about this. But
Okay.
anyway,
That'll be awesome.
you have all been fabulous. And if you would like to see more Recappa, it's Wheel Talk on YouTube. And we have a blast. Oh my God, what's wrong with my hair? Nor whatever I have to say about Wheel Talk and my hair. My hair, what's happening? Next week, we are doing a Nynaeve video, which
Ooh.
hopefully will have Nynaeve hair that is braided and doesn't look like this.
Awesome. By the time this comes out, I can almost guarantee that that will be out. So please go check out Recappa's Sedai's Nynaeve video. I am sure it's going to be super fun because the vast majority of them are. But reading the pattern, Rebecca,
Some of them are shit.
where?
So-
I did not say that. I did not say that. But Rebecca, where can the lovely people at home find reading the pattern?
On YouTube, and I don't know what happens though. If you search reading the pattern on YouTube, you're probably going to find like sewing patterns and nonsense like that. So like maybe don't do that, but it's just like youtube.com/reading the pattern. And
Maybe add a wheel of time in the pattern.
yeah.
search.
But anyway, so definitely, so if you're listening to this, you don't care about spoilers. So definitely go check out my reread series. I've done the Eye of the World. I've done New Spring. And I'm in the middle of The Great Hunt. And then I just love to speculate about like what the TV show is going to cover. So I have a ton of that. And then, I mean, if you have friends who need spoiler-free stuff, I've got a ton of that too. So
yeah. Also, just FYI, I fact-checked Reading the Pattern's claim here. And the first thing that comes up when you put in Reading the Pattern on YouTube is the channel Reading the Pattern. So you're actually all set if you just want to hop on YouTube and look it up.
Cool.
And of course, all of your channels and Twitters, if you have them, and we can definitely find them. It shouldn't be that hard. I'm pretty sure I've been
Yes.
to every one of your Twitters. We'll make sure to link at least those two down below, because if you can't find what you're looking for on the channel, you can always go to Twitter, and there's always links there. And if nothing else, it
real,
gives you an
bro.
avenue of who to tweet at, like, hey, Recappa Sedai, where do I find your dope Discord invite link? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
You
Indeed.
should
that's
go to my
always possible.
messy channel.
But that's what we're here for. Recappa.
But that's what we're here for. Awesome. Yeah. And if
Oh,
you
if anyone
are
wants to see
enjoying
messy, you go-
yourself
Yeah.
on this video, obviously we are from the Black Tower. You're probably already on our YouTube if you're watching this video.
Hopefully.
But if you're not, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter at Tower Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Black Tower Pod. If you're on our YouTube, definitely hit the subscribe button. Definitely hit the bell. We are definitely thinking about, or at least probably again by the time that this comes up, we will have definitely some more YouTube things coming out. So you're definitely going to want to be aware of those and get notifications for them. So smash that bell and definitely go ahead and check us out on all of the
I
platforms
can
as
confirm for all Black Tower podcast listeners and or fans and or initiates, it will behoove you, because I will use the word behoove. It will behoove you to follow us on all media platforms.
It's true. You'll
Which is
good things
Instagram,
will happen.
Facebook, Twitter, and
The other
YouTube.
things. Yeah, also the other
YouTube.
things.
That one. YouTube. Do it.
And to make things
Awesome.
easier for all of you, if you want to find more of our stuff, you can go to blacktowerpod.podbean.com. That is our hosting site. And on the left side, if you're on your computer, if you're on mobile, click the little 3-line menu button and you'll see them there. There's links there to everything that Josh just described. There's a way for you to get your email, and there's also a link to the merch store where even if you don't want to represent the Black Tower because you're a heretic, I don't know, whatever your reason is, you can get that awesome Dragon Sworn swag from there as well.
Indeed. But thank you again so much. We definitely want to give a special thanks. We could not do these YouTuber panels without a YouTuber panel. And therefore, thank you so much, Fantology, their representative, the wonderful Steven. Thank you so much, Reading the Pattern. Rebecca, you have been an absolute joy. And Recappa Sedai, thank you so much for being here. It has been so much fun talking to the three of you. And it has been so enlightening to just hear different views, because I will admit that we do get a little echo chambery, somewhat in the Black Tower. And so hearing other opinions from other people is not only fun, but it's also educational. So
The
thank
more
so
you
much.
know.
Bringing that in.
Necessary and essential.
Thanks for
Indeed.
hosting,
We live
guys.
for
This has
it.
been awesome.
Yeah, you guys are
Thank you.
such generous, awesome hosts. So thank you guys. It's really cool.
Aw,
Oh,
that was very
Ditto.
sweet.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for all of us here at the Black Tower, I hope that
My
you are
headphones
having
keep
an
falling out.
amazing morning and that everything goes your way today. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.